On this episode, we're going to talk about the life
and death
of the DCEU.
I'm walking the streets of nowhere. I'm playing the game with no regrets. I'm crawling out from the gutters. Clown and the Joker's all you guess.
All right, man. So we're back again 3 minutes after we recorded the last episode because we started talking about something and it sounded like it was a good episode and we talked about it too much and I was worried that we were going to... Anyways.
Forget everything about it.
Yeah. So as Dustin pointed out in our off-camera conversation, Aquaman 2 came out
December 22nd.
December 22nd, 2023. Neither he or I have seen this movie. No. I don't think anyone has seen this movie. I don't even think Jason Momoa has seen this movie. But it did mark the end of the DCEU, a movie kind of franchise or universe that started with Man of Steel. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, which came out when, Dustin?
I have it pulled up.
Came out a long time ago. What, 10, 12 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while back.
Right. So we thought, with our limited knowledge, why not talk about the life and death of the DCEU, where we think it went wrong? This won't be all encompassing because we haven't seen all those movies.
No.
But also what we think the best and worst movies of the ones that we actually saw were. Yeah. So let's talk about the timeline. Dustin, since you have it pulled up, can you just talk us through like the general timeline of when it started?
Yeah. So you have, first off, it was Man of Steel. That's the first Superman movie with Henry Cavill in 2013. And then you have Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, 3 years later, 2016, Suicide Squad, 2016, Wonder Woman, 2017, Justice League, 2017, Aquaman, Shazam, and then Birds of Prey, which was the fabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn, blah, blah, blah. Wonder Woman, 1984, Zack Snyder's Justice League, The Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad 2, Black Adam, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. Okay. So that's from 2013 to now, to 2023.
So what was Batman vs. Superman was 2016. What was the other one in 2016 you say? Was that Suicide Squad as well?
Suicide Squad. The first Suicide Squad, yeah.
Okay, and then the first Wonder Woman was in 2017, and then Justice League came out
2017.
Okay.
November. So it was June and then November.
Yeah. Okay. So just off the top, so that's the general timeline of the DCEU. Now, with that, those are all the movies. Part of the E in DCEU is all of these
extended
Warner Brothers TV shows that weren't really part of the whole story, but it was like an extended thing. It's very weird. It's the complete opposite of what Marvel did, in which Marvel said, hey, we're going to create movies and TV series and all this other stuff that's all part of one timeline before everything got weird and they diverged with all the timelines, and it stunk since then.
Well, I do have to say though, like Marvel didn't do the TV series route until fairly recently with all the Disney Plus stuff. Right. All of the other like animated series and stuff were its own thing, because you had like the Avengers animated series was different anyway. But that's just
mostly though they kept everything not extended. That's why it's the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then the DCEU. Which is the
extended
DC Extended Universe. I remember just going back to kind of talk about everything, I guess. I remember after Man of Steel came out, I remember at Comic-Con or wherever it was when Batman versus Superman was announced. I liked Man of Steel a lot, and then Batman's my favorite superhero ever, which is a very lame choice for a favorite superhero, but he's the coolest, and I don't care.
Yeah, he's the coolest. I'm not a huge Superman fan.
Me neither.
I enjoyed Man of Steel though, so
Right.
that's something to be said.
When Batman versus Superman was announced, it was announced by a reading from the graphic novel of Batman. And I won't get this completely right, but essentially it was after Superman had been defeated by a very old Batman. And he
It was the Dark
has
Knight
his
Returns, right?
it's one of
the
the
graphic novel.
Frank Miller
Yeah.
Frank Miller
The
graphic
Dark Knight
novels.
Returns.
He has his hand around Superman's neck, and
Yep.
he's essentially saying, Clark, in your deepest and darkest moments, I want you to remember that you were defeated by me, that you were defeated by a human mortal, essentially. It's the sickest line. I have it up on my bookshelf somewhere. I could read it out. It's the most dope thing that's ever happened in any comic ever, of just Batman using his...
I got it down there.
Batman using his humanity, but also using all of his intelligence and throwing a bunch of money at it and finally beating this superhero that he was worried about. Essentially, at that point in the graphic novel, Superman is super with the government and he's working with the government to stop all these superheroes, and Batman is back to his vigilante state. That's the way it kind of worked. So when Batman versus Superman was announced, I thought it was going to be the best movie that ever came out. Ever.
Oh, absolutely. That is like the age-old, battle that happens. Like, I don't know that I've ever heard of like a Marvel situation other than Civil War.
Civil War.
But like, I only knew about Civil War from the movie.
Right.
I don't know, and there probably is a comic about it. I don't remember. But like, it just wasn't as like impactful, I guess, as like Batman versus Superman. I mean, come on. You got the most superhero super dude versus a guy who knows a bunch of martial arts and is a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, what?
They're the two most iconic superheroes, though. And that's the weird thing about the DC Marvel dichotomy, is that DC has the two most iconic superheroes, and probably it's easy to argue that as a lineup, DC has better characters.
Yeah.
And Marvel just killed it with their, I mean, maybe the secret weapon of Kevin Feige, maybe it was because, you had people like Jon Favreau come on very early and just make good movies. But man, did DC really mess up everything.
Oh, they super did.
Yeah. So, Batman versus Superman comes out a few years after it was announced. And to be honest with you, I didn't hate the movie. A lot of people hate that movie. I think the first half is great, and then the second half kind of devolves.
Yes, I agree. I enjoyed the movie the whole way. But like you said, the second half of it, it's like, is that right? Like, did you really get that from some source material at all?
Right. So with this, I think the downfall of the DCEU happened quick.
On the second movie.
It happened quick, and it got brought down by the equivalent of like a pin needle. It's a very small moment that brought down the whole thing. And in my argument, it's the Martha moment. It's the
Martha. Yeah, the Martha moment was pretty bad.
Batman deciding that the reason he's not going to kill Superman after being in a blood rage an entire movie is because Batman and Superman both have mothers named Martha.
Yep. I don't know whose idea that was.
Snyder's. Zack Snyder. Which
was it Snyder that directed that?
Yeah. So Man of Steel is Zack Snyder.
Sorry.
And they made that decision after Man of Steel was pretty darn good. They're like, okay, cool. This is going to be Zack Snyder's DCEU. Essentially, there's a lot of people right now that are very excited about James Gunn getting the reboot of the DCEU. Mm-hmm. You're forgetting that this happened with Zack Snyder. They basically gave him the reins, and it devolved. And the reason it devolved maybe really isn't because fully of Zack Snyder, but because
I think it's the studio.
The studio's got involved, but the studios didn't tell Zack Snyder that the reason Batman and Superman stopped fighting in that movie is because their parents had the same name.
Oh yeah, no.
And I get that it humanized him. I get that that's what they were going for, but it was just such a swing and a miss. But it wasn't an A24 swing and miss. It was like if you're trying to bunt and you miss the bunt. It was just so silly.
Well, I think the problem is like a lot of these like comic book movies have source material.
Right.
Use it. Don't. I get creative liberties and creative freedoms and stuff like that, but it's like to an extent, it's like you have really good stories. Just put that into a movie, and I guarantee you it would do very well. Because the comic books were received really well.
Right. Well, they announced the movie with that moment, and that's the thing that bugged me the most.
Yeah.
Is in the announcement of the movie, they read the script or they read the source material of the coolest moment. So they knew how to stick the landing there. They could have literally just had Batman or Bruce Wayne recite that language to Superman and then let him live after that because there was a bigger threat. But just Batman, just this human teaching this superhuman alien the lesson of like, hey, you're here, you're helping us, but remember, we can take you down.
Yeah.
That's all we needed. But instead we got the Martha moment.
Yeah. And then like on the other side of it too, like all the Doomsday stuff was just terrible with it. Like
it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good. I didn't care for it at all.
I could have looked past it. I could have looked past it if not for the Martha moment, because what happens is the Martha moment happens and you go, really?
Yeah.
And then you go into Doomsday and you're like, get this kind of like sour look on your face because of the Martha moment. And then Wonder Woman comes in and it's the coolest introduction to a superhero I think I've ever seen on screen, with her immigrant song-esque theme music playing. And she comes in and just absolutely changes the fight. It's super cool. But the Martha moment's still in your mouth.
Yeah.
Like you're still like, Martha.
I think what saves the movie for me is whenever at the end, and if you haven't watched this, spoilers.
Yeah. You've had
to have watched it. You've had a long time.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, just skip the next few seconds.
It's anonymous.
Yeah, no. What saved the movie for me is whenever Superman dies.
Yeah. The balls.
I was very happy about that.
Yeah, to have the courage to write that. That's what was so disappointing, is that you had the courage to write Superman dying and going into that comic book storyline, which is awesome.
Yep.
But you did the Martha moment. So it's like, what?
No. Well, regardless of if they had the courage to like write that in, like the Superman like just the fact that Superman died, I was so excited because I got to rub it in all of my friends' faces. I was like, let's see, Superman dies, whatever.
We all kind of knew that he was coming back, especially if you've read the comics. I mean,
for sure.
The death of Superman, I believe that's what the comic book is called. With the cover of it's like the black seal of Superman. It's one of the coolest pieces of source material again. So like Zack Snyder took two really cool source materials, stuck them together and said like, boom, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman, I'd give it a B-. Like looking back on it after everything happened, people want to try to give it an F and all this other stuff. But when it came out, it was B-.
Oh, absolutely. So
we go forward.
So you got Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to really go through every single movie, but great movie.
I enjoyed
the
it.
landing. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. They made some weird choices on the back end with the villain and stuff like that. And it was like, but it was okay.
For what it was, I also, one of the worst Jokers to ever grace the screen, Jared Leto. Some of the casting for the DCEU is not great. I think Jared Leto was one of them. So much so that they couldn't really even use him in other stuff just because he was just so weird and just not.
So weird. What was the rumor or like the story on set that he like sent Margot Robbie like a dead rat in an envelope or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
If you're going to be that type of actor to where you have to stay in character the whole time, be a good actor.
Don't be the Joker.
or just
Yeah.
be a good actor. Like, do it well. Like, because
Yeah.
Heath Ledger, I think, did some version of staying in character.
Oh,
But
no,
he was a good actor.
definitely
He
was
good.
definitely a method actor for that.
Yeah.
The second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jared Leto, not the greatest Joker. There was like maybe 2 moments of his Joker that were okay.
Yeah.
Not the great, not yeah. You know.
I'd give that movie a B. So I think that movie is a little better than Batman versus Superman.
I got you.
You know,
You got Wonder Woman.
everyone loved Wonder Woman. I didn't like it.
I didn't.
I think
either.
there were a lot of cheesy moments in Wonder Woman, but overall, as a movie, it was a good movie. Like we haven't yet. So in 2017, if we take all of you back to that time, if you're a superhero movie fan, you still have hope. You have hope, folks. You're like, Justice League's around the corner.
They're turning
Zack Snyder's
it around.
cooking it up. It's gonna be the best movie ever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then what happened?
Well, the Justice League come out.
Well, before
And-
that, Snyder stepped away.
Well, the reason why he stepped away?
Yeah, his daughter unfortunately passed away.
So then they got, who is it? Josh Whedon, right?
Whedon.
Yeah. So midway of shooting, or almost finished with shooting Justice League, he steps away, right? They get in Josh Whedon. At that time, Whedon was doing some of the Avengers movies or something, or some of the Marvel movies, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he did the first. I think he did the first Avengers.
So already, terrible idea. You get the enemy guy to go and direct the opposing studio's superhero movie, and he made a lot of changes.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons that's so bad is because Marvel and DC at the time, the way they were differentiating each other was the tone.
Yeah.
DC was just a little bit more serious. Marvel
was much
was
darker.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes in, he reshoots a ton. Ben Affleck, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, he's a person. He wasn't in shape for Batman after playing Batman.
No.
And you can kind of see there's a difference when you're in the best shape of your life and when you look like a normal person.
Yep.
And they only made one of these suits. So my guy is in a suit that doesn't fit him because he's had so much Dunkin' Donuts, which I get it, bro.
Absolutely.
We have a Henry Cavill who has a mustache.
And they CG'd it.
They CG'd it, which is
so
insane because
poorly.
Like I feel like I could do a better job right now with Da Vinci. I think I could do better in Da Vinci.
Dude, I remember seeing that in the theaters, and the theater, like, as a collective, vocally was like, oh, like disgusted at his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's the first time in history anyone's ever been disgusted with Henry Cavill's mouth.
Right? Right?
That guy.
The man is beautiful. Like, he cannot be disgusted with his mouth.
Absolutely. But he wasn't then because it looked terrible. And then, but the whole thing was rewritten. A lot of the darker themes got taken out. It was cut down quite a bit.
It was made more funny.
They made really dumb jokes, some in poor taste again.
Yeah.
Like it was a weird vibe for a movie that should have been the greatest superhero movie to ever be made.
Oh, God.
Especially with some of the good stuff, the redeeming qualities of Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get a movie that was closer to that beginning of Batman versus Superman, where you see like the humanity of Bruce Wayne as he is in his own car driving through. I think he goes down to Metropolis as Zod and Superman are fighting, and you see from his perspective the destruction that's happening to his city as these two aliens fight.
Yeah.
It completely humanizes the whole situation. And then you go into Batman and Superman, and now it's funny that he's laying down in the grass after he got hit by Superman. It devolved into Three Stooges jokes.
Yeah.
With the most broody, almost serious character in all
The
of
the
superheroes.
man who started out BVS in the corner and like that was the cleanest intro of Batman of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the oh my
Yeah. So
Anyway.
after I saw the beginning of that, I had hope that I was like, oh, they're going to make a superhero movie or a Batman movie
yeah.
where he is scary.
Oh yeah.
There's still hope that eventually they do this, but that the Ben Affleck Batman was perfect for this, in which I wanted a movie where we are in the perspective of the bad guys, like the mobsters. And it's a horror film where they're getting taken out one by one by this demon they don't know about. In the end, it's like, it's Batman.
It's Batman. Yeah.
I was like, I saw that kind of inclination and that darkness, and I saw it, and I was like, Zack Snyder's about to cook.
Oh yeah.
He didn't quite cook on this, but like he's gonna cook. Give Zack Snyder a solo Batman film. It's gonna be the best.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So in Justice League, they introduced a few other characters, right? You had the Flash, you have Aquaman,
Right.
and then Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are already there, and then they introduced Cyborg as well.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to talk a little more about Justice League at all, but I mean,
Yeah. I mean, how did you feel about the introduction of those characters?
I feel like it was pretty rushed. I did enjoy the Flash and or like Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne's interaction. That was kind of funny, which the Flash is the funny character in the comics, in the old cartoon TV show. Like the Flash is the comedic relief. So I expected that. Aquaman, not so much. Jason Momoa's Aquaman was very different. I enjoyed him, but like the normal Aquaman is this plain Jane blonde-headed dude who nobody likes.
Right.
So I was hoping to really, pick at Aquaman for the movie. But I enjoyed Jason Momoa's stuff. He's just kind of.
I thought for what it was, he did well, and absolutely. I think that's a more interesting version of Aquaman too.
Yes, absolutely.
If you gave me like a long-haired blonde, like I almost see who's the guy who plays in the scary movie, the Conjuring, who plays the dude in the Conjuring. I feel like if they went the other way,
he's an Aquaman too.
Is he?
He's Aquaman's
maybe that's why.
brother.
That's why I'm connecting it though. Maybe.
Yeah,
I feel like he would be like the typical Aquaman.
Yeah,
casting.
no,
Patrick something I think his name.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. No, he's in. I believe. Don't quote me on this because I haven't watched Aquaman or Aquaman 2, but I believe that is Aquaman's brother.
So one of two things is happening there. Either I've seen the trailer and that's why I'm connecting that, or I'm just real good. But it's probably the first one. It's probably
he's in the trailer.
I saw the trailer.
He's in the trailer because they bust him out of prison or something like that, and then he's got to help fight Black Manta and all this other stuff.
So Justice League bombs for what it should be, and then.
Do you find yourself craving something sweet, cold, and made of the softest snow you've ever seen in your life? Well, you're in luck, because us here on Deaton Street know of the best place to go. Snowbees Express, located in Jennings, Louisiana, is the #1 spot to stop for all of your snow cone, soft serve ice cream, and soda on shaved ice needs. They're open year-round because here in Louisiana, we sometimes only get 1 week of cold winter days per year. So come on down to the Red Train Caboose. Yes, you heard that right, a literal caboose, located in Jennings, Louisiana, 420 Roberts Avenue. Currently, they're open 1 to 5, Monday through Saturday. You can find them on Facebook as well to book a party. Just search Snowbees Express and reach out. That's SNOB' Express. Aquaman. So then
it's
they
Aquaman afterwards?
Aquaman and this like the next year.
It's a heavy descent after that, right?
Yes.
Heavy descent.
Well, minus one movie.
Oh, okay. One movie actually did well.
I thought it did much better than any of the other ones that had come out. And it's
so
right
this
after
is
Aquaman.
Huh?
It's
It's
right
after
after
Aquaman?
Aquaman. Yep.
But there's a movie that did what? Did it do well in box office? Was it a COVID movie?
It's 2019.
2019. So not a COVID movie. Oh my gosh. It's not Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman was 2017. Aquaman.
It's not a hero that we've seen yet.
What? Oh, it's an introduction of a new DC comic. Man, I am
Red suit.
Red suit? Flash?
Big. No, Flash was this
Oh,
last year.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Shazam. I didn't like that movie.
What?
I didn't like that movie. I've actually, it's one of the movies that I've tried to watch 3 or 4 times just because everyone says they like it. I just can't get into it for some reason.
I enjoyed it a lot. It was definitely, it was like DC had tried to do this thing and then like Shazam had come out and it was like just kind of a breath of fresh air for me, you know? So it was like, it was different. Shazam is one of the funnier characters.
Yeah.
He's a kid, right?
Yeah.
But he's a kid in this adult body who's like got these sweet powers now, you know, like that's cool. I think they did a pretty good job with Shazam. I enjoyed that one.
So I was excited for Shazam. It's interesting because this is actually a really good segue to kind of end the timeline of the DCEU and what happened.
Yeah.
So they kind of part ways with Zack Snyder, and then the next batch of movies comes out, which is kind of the fallout of them parting ways with Zack Snyder because that all kind of happened at the same time.
Yeah.
With the Shazam, the rumors for years, going back, I believe, to the Batman versus Superman announcement, was that Black Adam was going to be in Shazam, and it was going to be The Rock. The Rock basically handpicked Black Adam in like 2015 as
that was his dude.
As his character. But The Rock, being The Rock, and I don't know how I feel about The Rock, but being The Rock, he did not want to go against Shazam because he wanted to go against Superman because that's a bigger draw, it's a bigger name, it elevates Black Adam.
Yep.
And so that's why that movie got pushed so far, because they kept waiting out for like a Superman versus, essentially Batman versus Superman, but it would be like Black Adam versus Superman. And so watching Shazam, I think that in the back of my mind, I didn't like it because I knew what it could have been. And then they started doing the thing where they're like, we're not sure if we're going to have Henry Cavill continue. So we're just going to do all of these cameos that don't mean anything because they're shot from like the chest down.
Yeah. Yeah. Or he's completely enveloped in shadow and everything else and whatever. Like, yeah.
They just began... how do I say this without saying the cuss word version of this? Phoning it in.
Okay.
Phoning it in. With certain things, and it showed, you know, they wouldn't commit to anything, whereas they're competing against a Marvel franchise that is very put together. They're not recasting anyone. When they do recast someone, it kind of just goes right under the rug and everyone accepts it.
Yep.
Cuba Gooding
Jr.
Yeah, he got recast as
War Machine with the other guy. I can't remember his name.
Yep.
Don Cheadle.
Yep. Right under the radar. Worked out great. You know, they just kept it moving. DC
but they could explain it now with the multiverse stuff.
Sure. But DC could never do that. They were always thinking about recasting people. They weren't sure if Henry Cavill was their Superman. Yep. They weren't really sure about anything. They kind of just piecemealed it all together, which is why you never had a really good cameo until the one that meant nothing, which is the cameo at the end of Black Adam.
Oh, yeah.
Where Superman actually finally comes in, and then like a month later, they're like, we're going to cut all this out. We're done.
Yeah.
We're going to I know we finally committed to a teaser at the end of a movie, but we're done.
It was so stupid. Shazam for me was, I say it was a fun movie to watch. There was a lot of action, a lot of really cool stuff in it. The Rock is The Rock in any role that he's in and plays. It's come on, dude.
Yeah. Well, there's
Thank you.
there's even rumors that, you know, in the writing of that, The Rock was so, and I don't know if this is true. Again, it's rumors, but The Rock was so concerned with being strong and being the only super villain, or I guess he's not super villain. He's like a art.
He's
or
got to
a
be the best
anti-hero.
Yeah.
The
gotta
only
be the
anti-hero that's
strongest.
as strong as Superman, which it just defeats the whole purpose of making a movie, in my
It's
opinion.
dumb. It's dumb because he tried to put himself on like such a high pedestal that basically like literally only Superman might be able to beat him.
Well, yeah, and it's weird because you could see that come out in the film, but behind the scenes there was a power struggle within DC of whether or not they were going to give the DCEU to Dwayne Johnson to develop and produce.
Oh.
They all the
Dude, if they'd have done
mismanagement that
it'd have been
WB.
terrible.
Well, you know, let's to round it all up, because I still want to I want to see what your best movie was and your worst movie was in the whole thing. But to round it all up, this is what I think, and you can say what you think. The whole reason it failed is because they didn't have a vision to begin with.
Yes.
They didn't sit down and say, this is what we want to build to. They just kind of piecemealed it all together, and they constantly second guess themselves.
Yeah.
The Zack Snyder thing happened, but I believe that I know his daughter passed away through terrible circumstances, but there was already
Unfortunate.
issues with the studio and him before then. They already were like cutting down Batman versus Superman. They were already trying to make a shorter cut of Justice League, which we didn't even get to, like the Snyder cut. You know, that's a whole nother thing. That your movie franchise is terrible if there's a groundswell of people that want to see an alternate movie or alternate version of a movie.
Yep.
Long story short, no vision, absolutely no planning, and constant changes made for this piecemeal kind of disgusting version of the best superhero entities, or like characters that the world has ever seen. Like DC blows Marvel out of the water.
I'm much more of a DC fan than Marvel. But yeah,
Right.
they definitely just botched it.
So, I mean, what do you think? Like, do you kind of agree, or do you have like different reasons you think that they failed, or do you even see it as a failure?
Well, okay, so I definitely watch movies a lot differently than a lot of people. I genuinely like the movie's got to be bad for me to not like it. So I mean, like BVS, like I enjoyed the movie. There were bad things that were in there, but overall, I enjoyed the movie. As far as like the entire DCEU, you know, I think I would agree is like they didn't have a good cohesive plan in place like Marvel does, and like what DC has now. They have a timeline. Okay, everything is going to work in, you know, what's the word? Not succession. Everything's going to be cohesive.
Yeah, cohesive. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just what I think the studio had a lot of say in the production and the scheduling and everything, the different titles, the different movies that they wanted to come out with. Yeah, there's a bunch of bad choices.
Do you think that it is too little too late for the DCU as they rebrand? Do you think, because there is a lot of superhero fatigue right now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know why they would want to do that. Because of all the superhero fatigue. Like the first movie that's going to come out, if I'm not mistaken, is Superman Legacy, for the DCU, right? So James Gunn's DCU is coming out. Superman Legacy, I think, is the first one, and it's directed by James Gunn.
Written as well.
Written and directed by James Gunn. I don't remember if he said that it was a Superman story we've seen before. I think it is, but I don't know. It's just not familiar to me, the loose little bit of descriptors that I've seen everywhere.
I think it's teenage Superman, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if it's teenage. I definitely think it's Because, I mean, at that point, I don't know.
So I guess a better way of asking this is, do you care that there's a DCU coming up? Like, is it something that, because when Batman versus Superman was announced, it's something that every now and then I'd like get excited about. I'd be like chilling in my room and be like, oh my gosh, in like a few months, Batman versus Superman is coming out, or we should get the first trailer. Mm-hmm. Do you care about the DCU now?
I do. For the simple fact is, I don't want to see it do the same thing.
But do you get excited? Like,
burn.
So we know in a few
I'm,
months we should have the first Superman Legacy trailer, right?
Yep. I'm pumped to see what they do.
Okay.
I'm pumped to see what they do with Batman Brave and the Bold. That's the first time we see Robin. I believe, and it's Damian Wayne's Robin. So Bruce's son, I believe, is what they're going for.
Are they recasting Batman again?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everything's going to be recasted. It's all new. All new stuff. I think, and also weird, Jason Momoa isn't going to be Aquaman anymore because they're recasting.
Yeah.
But I do believe that he is going to be Lobo.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it. But it's
that's fine.
I mean, yeah, it works. It works.
Marvel's
it's like
done that before,
more of with like the multiversal stuff, which with the later stuff in DCEU with like the Flash and everything, that was supposed to reset the universe. So like, of course, yeah, it definitely could be a thing of Aquaman is not Jason Momoa, that Aquaman. It could go to the normal Aquaman. I don't know. They could do whatever.
Yeah.
It plays out kind of like normal comic book runs do. So you had, what was it, the New 52, which was the DCU, or the DC comic book. And they basically, that spanned over a period of time where, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe it leaked, it bled into the Watchmen. And I think Dr. Manhattan reset the universe at the end of that. It's weird, because the Watchmen is DC.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. So is the Watchmen is DC. Fantastic movie, fantastic book.
Good series too.
Yep.
Have you seen the Watchmen series on the HBO one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's got very heavy political themes, but if you kind of look past the political themes, like it's just it turns some stuff on its head.
Anyway, so I'm excited about the new stuff. It's kind of doing that same comic book reset for me. I'm a comic book guy.
Yeah, so my deal is one, stop recasting Batman. Just it takes me forever to accept anyone as Batman, and I keep doing it, and I'm just running out of patience.
What do you think about Pattinson?
I accepted him. I accepted him.
I loved it.
I actually started rewatching that movie a couple nights ago because it jumped on Netflix, even though I have HBO Max. But I was like, I'll watch it. It's a cool movie. I love seeing Batman walk in all noir style in front of all the cops, and it's the Batman we grew up with. Batman the animated series of he's a detective. I loved what they went with. The world's
greatest detective. That's what his comic book started out with. It wasn't even Batman. It was the title of it was the world's greatest detective.
There's also a moment in that movie very early on where he walks up to a group of mobsters or whatever, gang members that are about to beat someone up, and he walks out in his little bat thing, and they start laughing at him, and I was like, yeah, that's what would happen if someone in New York was just walking around in a bat suit. People would laugh at him, and then they get their butt kicks. Yeah. So, but stop doing it. Stop making me accept different Batman. Give me. I get that it's a big role to commit to, but if Robert Downey Jr. could be Iron Man for 10 or 12 years, give me someone who's ready to do that with Batman.
Yep.
And Robert Downey Jr. wasn't an unknown, but he was kind of in that perfect place to take something like that on. Give me that with someone.
I think
not Armie Hammer, but someone else.
Yeah. I think they are in a position to do that. If they do Brave and the Bold, Batman should be a little older.
Yeah, that's lame too. Okay.
What?
I'm not excited. That's lame because I give me let me grow up with the Batman. Give me his origin story again, and I know we've seen it so many times, but give me that origin story so that I grow up with this guy, and then give me old Batman because the actor actually got old instead of just old Batman because we pick a 30-year-old guy that is going to play a 50-year-old guy.
We got that Batman in The Flash.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. I couldn't get through that movie.
That was such a bad. It was an okay movie. It was
some of the special effects on there,
bro,
looked like they were done with crayon.
It looked like the same guy who put on the fake lip of Henry Cavill worked on the entire Flash movie.
It was bad. It was
so bad. They
Play-Doh.
did. Oh, dude, they had to do because they reshot the movie like 2 or 3 times
in between trial dates for their main
Ezra.
character.
Yeah. Dude, oh my goodness. It was like, well, he's not going to be the Flash. Well, we're canning the movie. Well, we're not going to do it. Well,
shout out to Marvel for like actually canning people though. You know, like Jonathan Majors is out.
Yeah,
they canned him and Marvel's like, or DC's like, oh, well, Ezra, yeah, maybe he did run like a cult farm in upper New York State, but we're going to look past it. Yeah.
We got to get this movie out. It's on the schedule. Yeah, it's stupid.
Long story short, I am hopeful because I do like some of James Gunn's stuff. I think Guardians 1 and 2 are probably the best 2 Marvel movies, bar none. Yep.
Guardians 3?
Dude, Guardians 3 is really good, but it made me cry a lot. And the watchability is gone.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic, but it's just not rewatchable for me. 1 and 2 I rewatch on like replay. I love those movies.
No.
I can't rewatch the third because it literally is so good it makes me cry and ruins my day.
That's the best.
Dude, I cried like 3 or 4 times in that movie. I cried in the scenes that weren't sad because I was thinking about the sad scenes that came before them.
Hands down, second best Marvel movie for me.
Guardians 2 is really good. People
really
crap on that movie, but it's really good.
Yeah.
What's the best Marvel movie?
I will have to go. Do I?
Lightning round, because I'm gonna do the same thing for DC.
Okay. Oh yeah, you haven't said anything for DC.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Right, best Marvel movie.
Boom. Best Marvel movie. The most recent Spider-Man. Spider-Man. No Way Home.
Huh. Okay. Hard disagree. But hard disagree. Guardians 2 for me. Worst Marvel movie that you saw.
Worst Marvel movie?
Yeah. I got mine. Ant-Man, the first one. I know people like that. Y'all are wrong. It's a bad movie.
I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it, but a lot of people crap on Thor: Dark World, Thor 2.
Oh, that's a stinker.
Yeah,
that is a stinker with
I haven't watched
the dark elves and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Ant-Man's boringer. Ant-Man, I fell asleep 3 times trying to watch.
Really?
Best DCEU movie.
Yes. For me, for you,
yes.
for me.
I haven't seen Yes.
Man, I think I'll have to go with Snyder's Justice League cut.
Okay, I'll do Batman versus Superman. I think that I know I gave it a lesser grade than Suicide Squad, but I think that if the Snyderverse had lived in just the first half of that movie, it would have killed Marvel. It would have been so much better, but they diverted. They made it too superhero in the second half of that movie. Is that it? Did we say, worst DCEU movie? To be honest with you, I haven't seen enough.
I haven't seen all of them.
Have you seen Wonder Woman 2?
I have not.
1880 Wonder Woman 80. Yeah,
1984. No, I haven't watched it. I'm not a Wonder Woman fan.
It's pretty bad.
I've heard it's pretty bad. what sucks is like I enjoy what's the other actor, the other dude, the love interest in that Wonder Woman series.
Yeah. He did
I enjoy
Last of
him.
Us. He in a lot of stuff. Wait, the
Yeah.
love interest in
Yeah.
Chris Pine?
Oh yeah, I like Chris Pine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Chris Pine stank in that. And
Well,
also,
yeah.
okay, we're gonna go too long, but the whole way that Chris Pine is in that movie is so dumb.
It's
I won't
stupid.
ruin it, but it's so dumb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No. Worst. Probably The Flash.
The Flash is bad.
The Flash is
bad.
pretty bad. If they would have, my main gripe with The Flash, if they would have put my boy as the Flashpoint Batman, now I'm gonna forget his name. He was in BVS. The dad, Thomas Wayne, Jeffrey D. Morgan.
Oh,
If he would have been,
Walking
if
Dead
he
guy.
would have been the Batman from Flashpoint Batman, perfect.
Did they do Flashpoint?
Oh,
Did they do a Flashpoint Batman in there?
They tried to do Flashpoint.
I didn't even get to that point. So how many Batmen are in that? So I know Ben Affleck's in there, Michael Keaton's in there, and then there's a Flashpoint Batman as well.
No, there is a end of the movie Batman that was completely stupid and
plays him?
pointless.
Is
He's
it
been
Pattinson?
Batman before.
Wait, what is Clooney?
Oh yeah,
Clooney's in there?
Clooney, and he's Bruce Wayne. So basically, like
What?
the movie
Clooney's in
ends.
there? I know Clooney's in there.
Yeah. So
Did they have the bat nipples?
No, he
You might,
wasn't.
you might have to blur that out. I got too excited there. Just maybe that'll be a nice little. You can leave it in, but a nice little buzzer there over what I just said.
Oh god. No. So like they ended like he gets back after like fixing the timeline, right?
Okay.
And spoilers, whatever. This is gonna spoil.
Don't watch this movie. It stinks.
It's pretty bad. He gets back after fixing the timeline, and he goes and he's in front of the city hall or whatever, and like he wins the trial for his dad, and
Right.
blah
I
blah
forgot
blah,
about
and all this
that.
other
Yeah, the
stuff,
dad.
right? Because the mom's death. And then out of nowhere rolls up a fancy black car, like whatever high dollar you can't afford it car, and door opens. And then a black shoe steps out, and then the camera pans up, and it's
of course.
Clooney, but he's like, and he's like, oh Barry, congratulations on the trial, and Barry's like, who are you? Like Clooney's Batman is fully aware of Barry Allen in the Flash. But
I guess
Flash,
because he changed things.
yeah, because
the
he
Michael
changed
Keaton
stuff.
Batman became the George Clooney Batman.
Well, it wasn't even that. Like, because it would be the Ben Affleck Batman became Clooney.
What?
Yes, because the Keaton Batman was in the past, but like an alternate timeline that he had created. It's all
Dumb.
timey,
Dumb,
blah blah
dumb,
blah.
Dumb,
But
it's
so
so
stupid.
bad.
It's so
Yeah,
stupid.
and they took forever to do it, and it meant
If
nothing.
they'd have done it right, it would have been a great movie. I enjoy the Flash as a character. They definitely did not do him justice.
I think the DCEU was like, I don't know. I'm not an artist as far as like drawing things, but like how when you're like, I think I'm going to draw something, and you start and those first few lines are okay. And there's a lot of potential. And then you make a few bad lines and you're like, oh, this is not looking good. And you're like, I got to finish this. I got stuff to do. That's like the rest of it. And you're just like, you don't even care anymore. Like after those first few bad, everyone was just collectively like, oh, they're not doing this for real. They're just kind of messing around. They just want our money. This isn't an artistic thing.
They said, Mom says that creative kids color outside the lines.
Yeah. Definitely, the DCEU is one of those things that you put on your refrigerator because it's like it's the characters you know and love, but but you actually have the Marvel stuff up on your wall.
Oh, sweetie, that's a good picture of a giraffe. That's
Yeah.
a dog. A dog. Yeah. I mean,
that's literally what it is. Like I have no DCEU stuff on my wall, but look what I have on my wall. 1 second.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is. I don't even like Marvel that much. It just meant a lot to me,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the DCU Crayola crap.
Oh man, yeah. So hopeful for a newer DCU.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully
Me too.
They don't.
I hope that we jump back on after that and we're like, wow, they did it. Way to go, James Gunn.
Way to go.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think we're done. I think I'm disappointed in the DCEU.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful maybe for something better.
Something. Just something. Something else. I don't know. Something. Not Martha's.
All right, man. Love you. Love you, Martha.
Love you, Martha.
Bye.
See ya.